It's a great joy to share these extraordinary teachings with you. To me, it's absolutely remarkable that not only do these transmissions exist and are passed on and are of such extraordinary clarity that after these many years, even still, for me, they're fresh, they're fascinating, and yeah, I get occasionally goosebumps just opening a text like these and going, my goodness, it's extraordinary. Yeah. So, and who do we have there this morning on Zoom with us? Wonderful. Hello there. That's
Hello,
great.
good morning.
Good morning. Lovely.
Good morning from Moldova.
From Moldova.
Morning, Lama. Lama Mark from Guatemala.
Hello there. Hello there, Tom, and all those from Guatemala.
Good
That's
to
great.
see you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, wonderful. That's wonderful. Oh, my goodness. It's just fantastic. Well, what a joy to share this, and let's explore. And let's open this up. So I've got some questions for you in this way of practice. If metta, which it is the care, the benevolence, and the kindness for all sentient beings, then what is compassion? So we say is really important to this point is what is compassion, or the word is karuna. What is compassion from the perspective? This is important because this is what is being taught. What is compassion from the perspective of a 2,500-year-old lineage of very awakened beings? So that's that. It's really important to know what we're actually studying. What is their take on it? So from the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, 2,500 and a little bit more years ago, and a lineage of very, very highly practiced awakened beings, what actually is the reason for the practice and the unfolding of compassion that so many people have heard about, yes? Is that right? Altruism, compassion, yes. The heart of Dharma. Why? Why? Yeah. So we ask the question, it's good to actually write some of these down. Why compassion? Why would I even be involved in compassion? What is the meaning of compassion? How to be compassionate? Where to be compassionate? When to be compassionate? Whom to be compassionate for? So what is the practice? And also it's really important to understand, always, I believe in Dharma, because of such history. That is hundreds and hundreds of years of people devoting 30, 40, 50, 60 years of practice of meditation and scholarship and so on. Just think of all those years of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of great masters. Right? What are the faults? I believe this is really important. Most of the practice texts, not always the suttas or the sutras, but the practice texts contain where you go wrong. And that can save you decades. Okay? In the same way, it says, we say in science, it's an old statement, a week, a month in the library can save you many, many years of fruitless, faultless, or fault-free or faultful research of going astray or trying to reproduce something that someone's already figured out. It's really important. Spend a lot of time. So we also need to look at what is meaningful compassion and why would we ever practice it. Yeah. So from the very outset, to understand, metta, we should really turn the word to metta from love and affection, which is not what the text means. But there must be also a degree of what we would call as Westerners love and affection, of course. But one is the care for beings, one is the support for beings, one is the kindness for beings. But have you ever noticed that in the kindness for beings, in the support for beings, that a mystery happens? And for some, I know many, many health practitioners, from doctors to masseuse and so on, they get very burnt out because they say to me, I see the same patterns happening over and over and over again. And get burnt out, get very tired. So, kindness is one thing. It's absolutely fundamental for society. It's fundamental for beings. But what is the cause of the suffering? You see? So, for instance, give you an example. If a tent, you put up a tent and it's unstable, there's a cause for it, yes? So you'd want to put up the tent properly the next time. So these guy wires, it turns out, is that right? These guy wires, whether they go underneath or below these beams, is really important for the stability and the tightness of the tent. That's called cause. Interesting. In the same way that beings struggle with, then they say to me, why so much war? Not just now. I often reply, not just now. For the last couple 100,000 years of human existence. Why? Why, Lama, the pestilence? Why the plagues? Why the pandemic? And so on, yes? Why the struggles with poverty? Why? What's the origin? And we often think, well, if we just took away the pandemic, there'd be no problem. If we took away the wars, there'd be no problem. If everybody was fairly well educated and had enough food, there'd be no problem. What do you think? No. Why? Now, if everybody's comfortable and at ease, right? What's the refrain for metta? May all beings be free of danger and be at ease. You're at ease, aren't you? But no. Even in a community of practitioners, is that right? Out there in Zoom too? Totally at ease. Everything's going right. It's all good. And yet what?
Agitation. Still suffering.
Agitation. Anxiety. Dis-ease. Still, greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy. Isn't that remarkable? And yet, everything is absolutely perfect on Galiano Island. Everybody laughs here. Isn't that right? Trees are growing. Fantastic. What's the cause of this ill? What's the cause of this dukkha? Yeah, it's important. So we recite every morning and every evening something that's very odd to a lot of people. It is just not very Western, not at all. Maybe not even very Eastern anymore. Okay, not at all. On page 1. Since there is no opportunity for happiness wherever one is born in samsara. So wherever a being is born into wandering, confusion. That's what it means. And since a happy existence was never seen, this is not very Western at all, is it? It flies in the face of everything we're taught and we learn. And since a happy existence was never seen, I will enter the path of nirvana, that is for freedom. So does it really mean a happy existence was never seen? How many of you here have ever had a happy 2 seconds in your life? Oh, that's right. 3 seconds. Okay. 1 minute. Some are hesitating. How about those on Zoom? Have you ever had more than 1 minute, 2 minutes? We're going to do this democratic Dharma teaching. Okay? More than 2 minutes. Let's see it. It's a majority. That's great. Half an hour. Half an hour? Do I see half an hour? Oh, there's less. Less. So it depends on your insight level, yes? Depends how obscure it is. So yes, for half an hour is absolutely perfect happiness every single second. Didn't ever go down. It didn't change. It just was like perfect happiness. What would you say now? Let's back it off now. Let's go the other way. 15 minutes of happiness? No, nobody's raising their hand. You see how logic can be a powerful tool, but still doesn't clear it up. Doesn't clear up the delusion. So the delusion is if I just got the happy object, right? I'd be happy, isn't that right? The happy thought, the happy object, the happy person, the happy thing, the happy situation. If I come to Galiano, I come into retreat, I'm going to be happy. It's automatic. Isn't that right? You know, people in Galiano, wow, they were in retreat. So happy. Spas, right? Spas, jacuzzis, sauna, massage. Is that right? Massage every day. Yeah, petted. Yeah, that's fantastic. Would that do it? No. Some are shaking their no. What's going to do it? So that's what it means. It doesn't mean a happy existence, a happy experience was never seen. It means ultimate. It means the kind of happiness that is natural, unborn, right? And doesn't require the next object. Doesn't require the next cool thought. It doesn't require the next celebration. It doesn't require that you go out and bungee jump today or jump out of a plane, hopefully with a parachute. So the actual practice of karuna, of compassion, is very, very similar to metta. So if you look at the practice text, you'll see it's absolutely identical except for one thing. Listen to the refrain now. The standard refrain is this. In metta, may all, as I am glad or I am happy, may all sentient beings, right, be safe or free of danger. Here, Galiano, no danger, not much, but free of danger. May all beings be sukhitata, may all beings be happy, gladdened, at ease, and so on. But it still doesn't solve the fundamental dilemma, does it? So what do we wish for? May all beings experience or realize freedom. May all beings be free of suffering. That's what free of suffering means. May all beings realize freedom. So when one comes to a certain degree of realization in Dharma, and Dharma doesn't, here Dharma means freedom, one realizes that no matter how you move the chess pieces on the board in life, those 5 afflictive states, greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy, will keep rising up. And I make this akin, especially for those that are in Guatemala will relate to this, and maybe even some on the West Coast here. It's kind of like having a beautiful volcano in the distance with a giant hot magma chamber below that you can't see. Does it sound familiar to all of you? And never knowing whether that hot magma chamber will suddenly erupt a little bit, little gases coming out, as we see in Antigua, yes? Little or the next minute, second, hour. Large eruptions, yes, we're all out there, or something even far more uncomfortable, which is, uh-oh, right? Isn't that right? For those from Guatemala, uh-oh, it doesn't look really too safe today. Yeah. So too, all can be going really well until all H, I'm not really supposed to say swear words, you know, all H breaks loose. The magma chamber lets go. Okay. So the purpose of compassion is to remove the causes of suffering. The purpose of metta, right, is to care for beings, is to be benevolent, is to be kind, benevolent. It must be there. One must have metta. But metta doesn't necessarily end the repetitive patterns of dukkha. But if metta isn't there, then there's no support for karuna. So metta must be there for the support of karuna. Okay, so the karuna is the wish to remove or reduce the causes of suffering. Those can be relative cause of suffering. For instance, karuna would be if stairs, we have this in building code, yes? For all those that build on Galiano, we know that their stairs must be built to certain code. And Teague, what's that?
The code?
Yeah, for stairs.
I think it's like 7 5/8.
7 5/8 inches, something like that?
Rise.
Yeah. So there must be a distance. Why? Because accidents happen. And if you have all the stairs unequal, people can break their hip, right? Break bones. It's actually a major cause of accidents. So we have building code for the average person to make a certain step and know what that step is. Otherwise we have death and we have injury. So that building code removes a major cause of physical and mental anguish. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. But it still doesn't remove the base cause. In same way that having excellent health care, education, good economy, excellent GDP, always increasing, I'm just kidding, always increasing GDP. Yeah? Well, of course, destruction of the environment, that minor detail. But you see? Comfort. But the magma chamber gets released, but the magma chamber is still there. Is this understood? Yeah. The magma chamber is still there under the right conditions, which is quite frequent. The magma chamber will blow. There will be an eruption. So just when beings are comfortable, have you noticed that in your life? Just when beings are just perfectly comfortable, under the right situation, which turns out to be fairly frequent, right? Any kind of trigger, the magma chamber blows. Isn't that something? Even on happy Galiano Island, where everything is perfect, the magma chamber can blow. Okay. Isn't this fascinating? Isn't it interesting? So, the texts are very clear about this. If you wish to remove the cause of suffering, you're going to have to understand suffering. It's not something that you just kind of gloss over. You're going to have to get very intelligent, sharp, and insightful about the origin of suffering. You have to be a really good volcanologist. You know what a volcanologist does? I like volcanologists. They're amazing. They go up to the edge of volcanoes and they sample the magma with suits, sometimes with suits on. And hopefully they won't get killed or poisoned with the gases. And they bring that magma back to study to understand what's going down below something you can't see. So too, if you're a real Dharma practitioner, you're going to go have to sample hot magma. Really. And every once in a while you get a whiff of poisonous fumes, and you get a little bit, it gets hot, and occasionally you get, a little bit of lump of hot magma land on your head, and that hurts, yes. You're going to have to go close to the pit of samsara. We're getting up to Chenrezig here. You've got to get close to the pit and really look. What is the origin of why every single sentient being, even when all the outer conditions and inner conditions appear to be perfect, do we still have war? Do we still have conflict? Isn't that something? Why? 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 Why do these magma chambers keep erupting when all is good? So, contrary to popular belief, according to the teachings of Dharma and practice and wisdom teachings, being comfortable and searching after comfortableness still produces, in fact, in some ways, can actually foster the eruption of the magma chamber of the 5 poisons. So here's a question for you, for all of you and those on Zoom too. Has being comfortable and producing more comfortability in your life and others actually ended the dukkha? Straightforward, isn't it? All you princely and princess beings, why are you here? I suspect you're here because still comfort doesn't do it. Even the most glorious meditations, yeah? Because I know most of you fairly well. All day long, sitting like this in bliss, awake non-thought, utterly at ease, not a care in the world. Yeah? Right? Days on end. Just like the Buddha could. 7 days. Utterly at ease. You see, that's why you're here. Because after all that work and practice, yeah, and those on Zoom, 7 days in samadhi, no thought, utterly blissful, not even a single afflictive state. And afterwards, you're in the retreat cabin or in the retreat tent or your retreat home, and you go, I'm enlightened. There's no question, I'm enlightened. And then there's the dishes. And then there's the dirty laundry. And there's those dials. You know those dials on those modern washing machines? You try to figure that out. Or you gotta, remember those days when you had to reset your video, your VCR? You know, those blinking lights, and you had to reset your VCR, and they go off, and you go, and you have a complete emotional breakdown. Total, after 1 week in samadhi, and no afflictive states, not even a hindrance can be found, not even the 5 hindrances. There's a complete emotional breakdown over the VCR. And you go, and what's the solution? Okay, on Zoom, what is the solution to when your VCR, and you can't reprogram your VCR? What is the solution? You can't even figure out how to get the time, the date and the time right. What do?
Call your child.
You call your child. They're absolutely right. You call your grandchild who's 2 years old, and they just go like this and fix it. But what's our common solution today? What is the method?
Get a new one.
Get a new one. Just throw it out and get a new one because they're cheap. Go to Best Buy. It's really cheap. You can get one on for probably $75 or on sale for $125. You've got a new one.
Can't get them anymore.
Pardon?
You can't get them anymore.
You can't even get them anymore. Go on eBay. Go on eBay. Get one. Really, really inexpensive. So what do? When it's not working, get rid of your relationship. Right? If it's not working, get rid of your pets. If the garden's not working, tear it up. If those plants just aren't flourishing, what do? Rip them out. Put in some new ones from the gardening center. It's easier, right? It's cheap. Cheap. It's actually cheaper than buying. It's cheaper than buying worm casings. It's cheaper than maintaining compost. It's much easier just to rip it out and put a new one in. Figuring out what the origin is. So if you want to be a real Dharma explorer, a real Dharma practitioner, an enlightened being, you're going to have to become a good volcanologist. That's what I decided today. You're going to be a good volcanologist. You're going to have to get very close to the magma source and really take a look at it. Otherwise, you're not going to get hot enough. You're not going to get burnt enough to actually see what's really happening with all sentient beings, not just your friends and not just your relatives, but what are all sentient beings going through? What is the cause? Strip out all the fabrications. What's feeding the magma chamber? Of course, this answers your question, Nathan, that you were going to ask me. Nathan was going to ask me, what's feeding the magma chamber? You gotta go really close and keep studying the magma chamber to find out, why does this keep boiling over? Yeah. That's called the practice of wisdom. That's karuna. Karuna, as the glorious Antal Rinpoche has said many times, there is no compassion without wisdom. There's no compassion without profound understanding. Zero. It's just not there. So what is the enemy of the practice of compassion? See if I can find it. You know one of the greatest inventions of all mankind? Post-it notes. Oh, they just pulled off the... Except post-it notes on old texts can also pull off the text. So we have to talk to 3M about that. Yeah, well, 3M, back to the drawing board. Okay. What is the enemy and near enemy of metta practice? Affection. And what's the real enemy? Anger. Okay. Karuna. What is it?
Moha.
Could be moha.
Ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance. Yep. What is really going to get in the way?
Comfort. Not knowing what.
Yeah. What is it that someone who has the opposite of compassion in afflictive states is going to be doing what? Harm. Harm doing. Harm to self, harm to others. Just really straightforward. These are all simple things. Anybody that is suffering is going to be creating some level of harm for self and other. Just you have to feel that. When one is in friction, one causes harm. Actually, when one is in friction, it also gives you an opportunity to undo what's happening. So it's a good sign. What it would be the, I prefer doing this way, teaching this way, what would be the near enemy of the practice of karuna, of compassion? What would get in the way?
Pity.
Pardon?
Pity.
Pity, grief, pity. Too much sorrow. Crying. So the metaphor I've given, I think, probably 100 times, and some of you will go, oh, not that analogy again, Lama Mark, but I like this one. I think that Cynthia could relate to this. So I go to Cynthia and say, Cynthia, we have a pet lizard that requires a surgical operation. She says it requires surgery, open heart surgery on a lizard. And Cynthia says, I can do that. So instead of a wavering voice, Cynthia says, I can do open heart surgery on a lizard. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we go, oh, excellent. How will that be performed? And Cynthia goes, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if it's really possible. You think? So the grief, the pity, the crying, the machinations, the worry, and so on, if you're going to your doctor, that's not really what you want to see, is it? Is that right? Or something, you go to your doctor and you say, it requires a brain surgery. Yeah? So can you do it? I don't know, and I don't even know the outcome. And it could hurt. Is that what you want to hear? Not particularly. What would you like to hear from the surgeon? The origin of the suffering can be removed, and there is an end to the suffering. Is that correct? That's what you go to. That's what you're paying for. That's what you want. Is that correct? And that's what you're here for. Isn't that correct? You would like the end of those states. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We'll pause. No. See the frustration? No. No, you can't have what you want. Sorry. So, Karuna is a surgeon. Yeah? Karuna is the surgeon. Karuna is the surgeon that's saying, we're going to discover and we're going to remove the origin of those suffering states. They can be relative origin, so there's a difference. There is relative origin, which is many, many beings today, all over the planet, it's millions, are dying of air pollution. From vehicles, from exhaust and everything else. By decreasing air pollution, there'll be millions of people per year not only will live, but will not suffer the consequences of lung disease. And now we know, it's quite something, that air pollution affects every single organ and system in the body, not just the lungs. Isn't that extraordinary? Yeah. That's called relative compassion. It still doesn't take care of the magma chamber. Okay, the magma chamber of the 5 roots. It's not just poisons, they're called, technically it's called hetu or mula, the 5 roots. Roots way down deep into the earth. Okay, so we have grief. Grief from the text. Such grief has been described in the way, beginning, and so on. And this is the failure of compassion. Is grief, is too much sorrow, is too much wailing and gnashing of teeth. One has to be like a surgeon and get in there and actually find and, free of fear, remove the sources of suffering. It's from the path of purification. Okay. So the refrain for compassion will be something like this, which you can shift over today, and it's really important. Recognizing that metta is not sufficient for liberation, but is absolutely necessary condition for freedom. Is may all beings be safe, may all beings be at ease, and may all beings be free of suffering. May all beings. Then you have to ask the question, how do they become free from suffering? That's the question. How? And that's what you're asking, I hope. How to become free of dukkha. So to be very quick about it, is the 5 mulas, the 5 poisons, are the manifestation of something. Right? This is what the Buddha taught. Brilliant genius. The 5 poisons must be the manifestation. It's the gases and the pumice and the rocks that get thrown out of the volcano. What is causing that volcano to erupt? And he was very clear on this point. He declared, in fact, it's Tanha. Tanha, right? Tanha, Tanha, with a dot under the N and a long A at the end. Tanha. And Tanha is an interesting word in Pali. Really cool word. Let's see, I wrote it down somewhere here. I'll use memory. I think it's trish from Sanskrit. Thirst. That's what tanha means, thirst. It also means dryness. Dryness, thirst, dryness. Yeah, that's the origin of the word. Dryness and thirst. Thirsting for. If you have a dry throat, that happens occasionally, quite often actually, but you have a dry throat, what do? It's that straightforward. Wisdom is that straightforward. What do beings do all day? That's it. Want what? An end of a dry throat. The end of dryness. What happens in meditation here when there is a dry throat? You want something to relieve the dry throat. What is the automatic end to the dry throat? A meditative experience that feels good. It's really straightforward. That's it. Isn't that something? 100 times a day, I want a meditative experience that feels good. I have a dry throat. I feel dryness. I feel poverty. I feel not complete. Therefore, I want something to make me complete. Therefore, I take up metta meditation to feel complete. Metta meditation becomes a meditation of affection because I need to feel loved. Cool, isn't it? Very interesting. What's feeding the magma chamber? Tanha. So the Buddha declared that what is the source of all these roots is tanha, is a thirst, thirsting for. There it is. Trishna. T-R-S-A long A, or trishna in Sanskrit, to thirst, to make dry, to be dry. So no matter how comfortable a being is, there is an underlying dryness, there's an underlying desert, and that is giving rise to all these states. It's giving rise to the unwholesome states, it's giving rise to the good states. It's really important. So when you have good states of happiness, good states, what do they turn into? Do good states last? No. Do negative states last? No. So what is nirvana? What is nibbana? Neither the good states nor the ungood states. What is it? Freedom. That's what we have to find. So what happens when there is fomenting, if you wish, of greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy? Every possible manifestation can happen, and we call those fabrications. So if you want to know where the word fabrication comes from, fabrication, when there's dryness, when there's thirst, the consciousness, the duality consciousness will make up any kind of fabrication to take the dryness away. So, give you an example. Reaching for the glass to end the thirst is not necessarily removing the origin of the suffering. It is a temporary suppressing of the suffering. Where is the difficulty that beings face? This is very straightforward. Where's the difficulty in constantly reaching for a glass of water or lovely flowers? Because the world is lovely, isn't it? I mean, it is absolutely wondrous. Who in this room would not say that this is an amazing universe of creativity and play? It's just absolutely beyond belief. Isn't that amazing? You go around and go, wow, look at these flowers. You can do that all day long. Do you think out of the, I think it's 10,000 scientists that are currently working on the new Webb telescope? What do you think? Eh? How much did that cost? 15 billion, I think, something like that. Do you think that those images, which are just absolutely amazing images, aren't they amazing? You've seen them. Have you seen them? It's just absolutely extraordinary. Do you think that's making every one of them happy? Isn't that something, eh? Isn't that amazing? That's not going to do it either. But it is wondrous. So it is an amazingly wondrous universe with sentient beings full of conflict. That's just amazing, isn't it? That includes scientists doing the most extraordinary things and fighting with each other, even doing each other in. Okay. So it's going to have to be the purification of those things. So one can keep reaching for the pill. One can keep reaching to suppress the thirst, but we need to find out under each situation. Now, let me put it a different way. This is the Dharma purpose. Under every single situation that you can imagine, this is called wisdom. If you take every single mental experience and you see that underneath it is thirst, what is the commonality to, let me put it a different way, because I haven't really thought about doing this way, like an equation. What is the common thread, the sole common thread to every experience? That's another way of putting it. What's behind every single experience? That's what you're looking for. Good. Turning the head, looking up, listening, wanting, longing, sensory experience. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Nancy was first.
Okay.
That's okay?
Yeah.
Is it finished now? Thirst finished? I'm just joking. I really am.
Do you want me to ask my question? I'd be pleased to ask my question.
I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to finish a little bit,
Please.
and then we'll come back. Yeah. Okay. So one has to have the guts, the interest, the guts, the strength to want to practice compassion. Because first of all, you need to recognize the dilemma, the situation that beings are in. That's where the compassion comes from. Yeah? What is driving this? And can I do anything about it? You see? So I'm really hoping, and I'm saying this to all those who are on Zoom, if you have a talent, and so many of you do, I look around and I look at those on Zoom, I look in the room here, all of you have incredible talents to help beings in a relative way. It's true, isn't it? And many of you in your careers, some of you are retired now, have helped so many people in so many ways. Isn't that right? And creatures and animals, many sentient beings. But do you feel there is still something missing? I see a few faces going, yeah. I'm looking out there, and there's a number of people going, yes, there's something missing. It's still not gut deep satisfaction. There's something still. Is that correct? You don't have to agree with me. You can say no, 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 no. It's fine. Something is still missing in life, which is a satisfaction from removing the root, the origin of suffering, of dukkha, that still keeps erupting no matter how much goodness is brought in. Isn't that something? No matter how much goodness, now how much sustenance is given, the magma chamber will keep erupting. What do I do about that? That's Dharma. That's Dharma. That's all Dharma. It's really important. What is Dharma? Dharma is going into the magma chamber and discovering how every single being is wandering in a parched, imaginary, by the way, imaginary parched desert, looking for sustenance to end the dukkha. And what do we do habitually? What are we trained to do? Not because we're bad people, not because we've made a mistake, not because we're neurotic, not because we did this or that. Why? Because the history of the training of all sentient beings is to do what? Quickly relieve the dryness. What's a little bit of a longer way in which I can relieve the dryness? A little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer time than this. This is quick. What's a little bit longer?
Examine the dryness.
It's just a little longer. I've got to undo the wrapper. Right? I've got to squeeze this out and pop it into my mouth. And after a few seconds or a few minutes, the dryness is relieved. But what happens again? Comes back. Comes back. Comes back. What are we habituated to? Not because of us. What is every single being habituated to? Pardon? Repeating what? Grasping, quickly grasping after anything that's going to remove the dryness. That's it. That's it. Isn't that easy? But it's not the solution. And what's quite extraordinary is a whole bunch of people in this room and on Zoom actually recognize that. It's not the solution. Not the solution. If I didn't take medication for esophageal reflux, then I may not even be talking today. That's another step further. So instead of taking lozenges half the day and drinking water, I can take something which is a modern invention, which allows me to actually speak in class. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have a voice to speak in class if you ever wanted to see what it looks like in there. But doesn't take care of the emotional afflictions. Do you see? And every single being in this room has a physical affliction. I can guarantee that. Good stats. And you can all get pretty much, and eventually, in probably 30 or 40 years, with personalized genetic and other kinds of medicines, right? Almost all that will be taken care of. But will dukkha be solved? No. Mental affliction. So this is the key. This is the key to understanding actually what Dharma really is. Dharma is the pursuit to find out the origin and learn to remove the origin of the afflictive states. That's it. For all beings. For all beings. That requires wisdom. No matter how lovely and kind and affectionate you are, which is great, you have to have profound understanding into the origin of dukkha. The origin of dukkha. Not just the gross, but the fine dukkha. Okay, the fabrications. So isn't that something? It's really mind-boggling. When the Dalai Lama repeats over and over again for the last 30 years, right? People go, wow, it's so true. All beings want happiness. Vladimir Putin, bless his heart, he wants to be happy. He invaded Ukraine to be happy. It's going to make him happy. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm. He too wants to be happy. All dictators, genocidal maniacs, they want to be happy. Psychopaths want to be happy. It's true. All sentient beings want to be happy. What do they do along the road to be happy?
Harm.
They harm. They do good works too. They build hospitals. They build educational institutions. They give to the poor. They often give to the rich without knowing it. All kinds of good works. Yeah? This is really something. I mean, I just find it utterly profound. And yet the unhappiness, and not just the unhappiness, the uneasefulness, the not at ease, the discomfort, the niggle in the mind, the existential niggle in the mind. Who am I? Where am I going? What am I going to do? How am I going to be happy for my life? Is still niggling. The end of that existential worry, anxiety, the fundamental anxiety, as Karen Horney, one of my favorite psychoanalysts, used to say, what is the fundamental anxiety? What's the fundamental problem? People are worried about them. So you have to go in and you have to cut out the root. And we all know on Galiano Island, this is a fundamental knowledge on Galiano Island that most of us hold. You waiting for this? It's like a profound wisdom understanding. With an arbutus tree, if you don't cut out the root, it just keeps growing back. And it obscures your view, and obscures your view. And if you don't cut out the root, it's going to come up here, and it's going to come up here, and it's going to come up here. Same in Dharma. If you don't cut the root, the origin of dukkha, the root, the arbutus tree keeps popping up and popping up and popping up like bamboo. You know, we've been feeding our bamboo. Oh, Laurel did. Fantastic. Just the perfect mix of nutrients and even what's called watering helps. And that bamboo, which has been kind of, okay for years, because Laurel put beautiful care and attention into it, it's going crazy. It has a shoot coming up in the rock, like there's no soil there, in the rock, that is, no exaggeration, I think it's about 3.5 feet high now in the space of about a month. It's extraordinary. Shoots. So somebody told me the other day that they know of a lawsuit. I think it's in Canada, I believe, or somewhere. I think it's Canada, or someone told me about this. That somebody, their neighbor planted bamboo, yeah, and they had to go to court because it went everywhere, right? Because now it's coming up in their lawn and everything else. So they actually had to go to court or something like that. Okay, so we do the same thing. When we have shoots of greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy, sometimes we have to go to court because the shoots keep coming up. Okay. So, what is the answer? Only the purification. And purification doesn't mean suppression. Only the eradication, the dissolving of the 5 roots, the 5 poisons, like cutting off the root of an arbutus, is going to end the dukkha. That's the realization. That's the realization of Dharma. Everything else is really not Dharma. It's the practice of Dharma. But the actual Dharma, what Dharma means, is the cutting off of the root. And what does the cutting off the root do? It produces the most extraordinary compassion. That knowledge of the root, the knowledge that the root can be cut, that the volcanologist can get into the magma chamber and come back out and figure out a way to empty out a magma chamber so the volcano doesn't erupt, is what we do. That's called Dharma. Okay? It's a good time to pause. That's it. People say, why do I need to do all these meditations, these contemplations? Why all these preliminary activities and practices? Because it takes a lot of energy to put a suit on, a flame-proof suit, climb up a volcano in the tropics, right? Stick in a ladle, pour it in, and take it back to lab and analyze it. What's really going on with this volcano? Because we don't want to go up the hill. And we don't want to put on the flame-proof suit. And it's dangerous and it's uncomfortable to look into the magma chamber and ask what's going on. And do the research to find out why volcanoes erupt. When you could do this. As I say to people, if you want to be comfortable, why don't you go, instead of practicing Dharma, instead of meditating, why don't you go to a cafe? I mean, is that right, Jamie? I'm promoting Jamie here. The president, I don't know, something of the Canadian Buddhist Institute. Go to a cafe. Relax. Have another coffee. Have another tea. Have a hot chocolate. What are you doing here? You're going to be going into a magma chamber. And it's a magma chamber of what? Not just greed, hatred, illusion, pride, and jealousy, but a magma chamber of what? Generosity. A magma chamber of metta. A magma chamber of karuna. A magma chamber of absolute delightful joy at someone's golf shot. Imagine. Someone has a really wonderful golf shot. Wow, it's beautiful. Wow, that's just lovely. Instead of, God, I wish I could do that. If I could only do that. When can I do that? I think I'll break their club. No, I'm going to give them, next time, I'm going to give them really bad balls to use. Or just as they're ready to take a swing. Hey, Nathan! It's crazy. So, realize you got to get a smile on your face. All these eruptions could be great eruptions. Yeah? But you'll still be sitting here going, bewildered, confused. Yeah. And you're going to have to develop a sense of humor. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty good. So out of this magma chamber comes every fabrication imaginable by sentient beings. Tents, lights, LED, most amazing LED video screens, cameras, attendants appear, shrines, flowers, things that have never been seen in nature before, right? Created by mankind. Strange flowers, candies, cups, beings appearing, pulp mills, giant freighters going up and down Trincomalee Channel, right? Running their generators all night. It's amazing. Airplanes flying. Isn't that extraordinary? Out of all that. Out of what? Thirst. All this born out of thirst. 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 Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So, do you wish to come out of thirst, endless thirst? Come out of the parched desert into what? into freedom. Maybe there's no thirst. Maybe there's never a thirst. Maybe there's never actually a being thirsting, no mind thirsting, and nothing to actually ever hanker after. Isn't that extraordinary? Well, that said, let's take a 10-minute break, approximately a quarter to on Pacific Daylight Savings Time, and we'll be back for going into the Four Noble Truths. See you. Have a stretch. Refresh. So we're very, very fortunate that approximately 2,500 years ago, there was a prince who had everything, really everything, and could have had a very relatively comfortable life until, of course, there was a war, or he got poisoned, or family feud, or whatever it was. But after meditating, he was a great yogic practitioner, and having met the great masters of his day in northern India, which is now actually sort of southern Nepal, he still wasn't satisfied, even after being able to sit in meditation for 1 week, thought-free, blissful, absorbed, and realized that that's not actually freedom. Still dukkha. So he decided to find out what the origin of this dukkha is. We're very blessed to have that kind of volcanologist, right? Be able to go into the volcano and come back with an answer. So in the corpus of Buddhist discourses, or the Buddhist discourses, there is this very famous discourse, which is called the first discourse. It may not be, but it is taken that way by tradition, and it's called Setting the Motion of the Wheel of Dharma, or the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And so the handout that's been given is actually not the full text. It cuts out a little bit of the beginning. It's just kind of the essence of it. But the full one is thus. Thus I have heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One, that is the Buddha, was dwelling at Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatana. There the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus of the group of 5, that is the original, his original 5 disciples, or his original 5 fellow practitioners that he was in charge of. And he had gone off and made a discovery, and they got back together again, and he said to them, bhikkhus, as these 5 bhikkhus, these 2 extremes should not be followed by one who has gone forth into the homelessness, that is a wanderer. What 2? The pursuit of sensual happiness. That now I've explained that again and again. Sensual happiness is repeatedly grasping for a sense object, mental, physical, doesn't matter, whatever it is, it's sensory. In the mind, outside, is longing for that object to produce the happiness, the lasting happiness. Which he says is low, vulgar, the way of worldlings, ignoble, unbeneficial. Unbeneficial to what? It's beneficial for transitory happiness. It's unbeneficial for what? Lasting.
Liberation.
Lasting, for liberation. And the pursuit of self-mortification, which is painful, ignoble, or unnoble, unbeneficial. without veering towards either of these extremes. The Tathagata, or the fully awakened being, has awakened to the middle way. Now, the middle way doesn't mean walking down the middle of the road so you don't get hit by a car. That's not what the middle way means. The middle way is free of extremes, or, as explained often in Mahayana and Vajra, free from fabrications. That's actually what it means. Free of believing that there is an answer by doing something. This is also one of the first realizations in the path of liberation, is realizing that only awareness, that the liberation is found in awareness, that no matter what you're going to do to fiddle the dials, it's not actually going to be about liberation. It might be supportive. It's okay. So he's saying, give it up. Find the middle way, which gives rise to vision, which gives rise to knowledge, that is wisdom knowledge, which leads to peace, actual peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. And maybe not for all of you who are on Zoom, but all of those in the tent, we started with the Nibbana Sutta. That's where we started. So you may, by this time, because there's been some classes teaching, you've read, you've contemplated, you've meditated. Some of you are very experienced practitioners. Some of you are actually teachers of Dharma. But you may have discovered, in fact, that the word Nibbana is really stands in for unbound, the unborn, the unconditioned, and so on. And what bhikkhus is that middle way, awakened to by the Tathagata, which gives rise to vision, which leads to nibbana. So when it says gives rise to vision, it's a repeat, a refrain, which means gives rise to knowledge, which leads to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. It is this noble eightfold path that is right view, right intention, or complete. Sometimes people translate it as right. It can also be translated as full, complete, complete view, complete intention, full speech or complete speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, actually right sati, and right concentration, called the Eightfold Noble Path. This, bhikkhus, is that middle way, awakened to by the Tathagata, which gives rise to the vision, and it's the same refrain. Vision gives rise to knowledge, which leads to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. Okay, so that's the path. Straightforward, laid out. This is it. So a word of advice, which is in here, is that Eightfold Noble Path, that Eightfold Middle Way, is the absolute requirement for breakthrough, for knowledge and wisdom. It must be there to at least some degree. You have to bring the Eightfold Path, gather it, bring it together, at least for a second, for the mind to open up into freedom. Okay, so don't ignore it. It's a requirement. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. It has to be full enough for the mind to literally unseat. It's called that. It literally has to turn about in the seat of consciousness to see itself. It's like never having a mirror and never knowing what the nose looks like, or as it says in some of the Vajrayana texts, having an eyeball but never seeing the eyeball. It's like having awareness and never seeing awareness. So you would say, as most people would, let's just try this out. Do all of you have awareness? Let's see a show of hands.
Yeah.
And on Zoom, do all of you have awareness? What is awareness? See? So if you live with something every day, and everybody uses a word, goes, yeah, awareness. Awareness. And we go, yeah, I know awareness. Yeah, I know awareness. But just spend like an hour or half an hour like this, awareness. You will quickly see not a clue what awareness is. It's really kind of fun. So in the same way, it could be that freedom, that unborn nature, is always there. But just like awareness, it isn't seen because it's so close. It's just taken for granted. But awareness is like that. Yeah, I know awareness. I know what consciousness is. Of course, there's people right now chasing down consciousness and science to get a nice Nobel Prize. It's one of the biggies. What is consciousness? What is consciousness? So what is faith in Dharma? Faith in Dharma. There is a path. There is a realization. Just going to repeat that. Write it down. There is a path. There is realization. And hundreds of thousands, if not millions of beings have experienced some or all full realization of Nibbana. That's a leap of faith for a lot of people, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? It's a big leap of faith. Why should I believe that? Why should I trust that? What for? Why wouldn't I just do this? It's much easier, isn't it? It's much easier. If I could just keep reaching for something to suppress the thirst and bring up a feeling of comfort and ease, I can get through life. It's okay, right? I can squeeze through life. But I kind of ask, why are you in this room? Maybe that's just not enough. And I ask, why are you tuned in to Zoom today? Maybe the reaching for the glass, the suppression of the desert, the dry throat, is just not sufficient enough anymore. Would you say that's probably about right? I can see on some of your faces. Yeah, I kind of like had enough. You've tried everything? Okay, I've tried the psychedelics. I've tried the alcohol. I've been to how many cafes? I've been to tea rooms. I've traveled to every country. I've tried bungee jumping in New Zealand over and over again. And then after the bungee jumping, I tried the shark boats. You know, shark boats are really cool. They're like snorkel boats. They're like fast little motor boats. You get in, seal the cockpit, and they go underwater for a bit, and then they jump out. And I did that. I tried that, by the way. It's really cool. I tried that, and you know what? What happened? I was there in Queenstown teaching Dharma, and it still didn't take care of the dukkha. I thought if I get in the shark boat and I try it out, all beings of Queenstown will be relieved of dukkha. It's the answer. It wasn't. I was so surprised. I was so surprised that the shark boat wasn't the answer, and bungee jumping isn't the answer, and jumping out of a plane isn't the answer. Isn't that interesting?
Maybe next time.
Next time. Exactly. Thank you. Wise being over here. If I keep repeating it, it's expensive, by the way. It's about $100 a pop, I think, something like that, or $75 every shark boat ride. But well, that's about everything in Queenstown. Bless their hearts. Because one time I was there and I went, okay, the shark boat's this, the bungee jumping's that, jumping out of a plane is that, the tank, they have an air tank that you get into and it blows you up and you can be weightless for a bit. It's pretty cool. That's $100. And every time I look around, everything's $100. Oh, by the way, if you want to go use our hot tub in the hotel, it's $100. So everything's $100. That's a long time ago. So Arya's absolutely right. If I get in the shark boat again, it's going to do it. Does that sound familiar? Isn't that right? It's really something. Oh, I'm seeing some smiling faces. Isn't it amazing? So we try that which doesn't work again and again and again. And if I've read correctly, this is actually, I believe, a real quote as opposed to a phony Einstein quote. You know, there's a lot of phony Einstein. There's a lot of Buddhist phony quotes out there too, but I believe there's a genuine one. Is the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over again and not get a good result. So.
But one more time.
One more time. Right, one more time. So we read the text one more time. Okay. So then he says, now this bhikkhus is the noble. Now what does it mean by noble truth? It means a truth revealed by one who has realization. That's called noble being. An Aryan being is one who's experienced freedom, or has realization of freedom. Now this bhikkhus is the noble truth of dukkha. And it's really important to use the word dukkha because in English our word suffering usually means gross suffering. But dukkha is the entire range of dis-ease from the suffering of birth, the suffering of death, the suffering of illness, all the way to the microsecond unease of awareness. Does it make sense? So you really want to use the word dukkha and not the word suffering. Because suffering, if you use the English word suffering, it can give the wrong impression. So here he says, birth is dukkha. Aging is dukkha. Illness is dukkha. Death is dukkha. Union with what is displeasing is dukkha. So these are for insight practice, not just to hear something philosophical. This is not a philosophical treatise. It's actually for wisdom training and wisdom insight. How do you do this? How do you turn this into a practice? This is a practice he gave out. How many times a day, how many times a minute, how many times in an hour can you clearly distinguish the dukkha of being conjoined with what you don't like? I want you to try that out. Okay? This is called compassion. Practice compassion. See, this little sweet doggy is looking how to be comfortable. Okay? So ask yourself the question, try it out. Sit there like this. How many times in a minute does the mind grasp to try to come out of discomforture, out of dukkha? Then you've got it. Now you're practicing. How many times in an hour? Can you catch each, instead of avoiding, instead of running away from the volcano, can you stand by the volcano and record the eruptions? This is called wisdom practice, vipassana. As the wonderful, most glorious Namjon Rinpoche would say, get real, Mac. Go look. Right? Go look. Go to the volcano and record the eruptions. How many times? So, would you then have pity? Would you then have grief? Oh my God, it's so many times. No. Good scientist. Good anatomist. Open up the cadaver, open up the being, and take a look at the dripping wet organs with interest. It's fascinating. Look at that. Sit here, supposed to be happy, and look. When you really look at it, there is a being that just wants comfort. Anything will do to be satisfied. Isn't that something? That's what he's talking about. There it is, right there. Dukkha, the union with what is displeasing, separation from what is pleasing, is dukkha. Not getting what one wants is dukkha. In brief, the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, to tanha, are dukkha. That's what you're practicing. That's what you want to do. If you do that, your compassion will grow. It'll keep growing and growing and growing. Not wailing and gnashing of the teeth. Oh my God, these poor people, right? Not like me. No, I'm just kidding, right? Yeah. Just look at it. So here's your quest. Here's your challenge. How many times per minute, how many times per hour is the mind moving to get out of dukkha? Creating fabrication to come out of dukkha. Fantasy imaginations to come out of dukkha. Longing to have lunch to come out of dukkha. Longing for the next to come out of dukkha. Do you feel it? The shifting of the body to come out of uncomfortability. When it's comfortable and the body feels at ease, what do we have? Well, how could I feel more blissful? It's not enough. Ever had that in meditation? It's not enough. Actually, I feel really good. It can't be enough. Couldn't be it. Yeah. Better shrine. Bigger tent. Bigger property. Big temple. Clearly a bigger monitor. They don't look big enough. They don't not even really human size. They're like tiny little things. Like this big thing. Like that big. So please, I think you have that in your text, yes? Is that right? In the handout? A little bit different. A little bit different translation. Same text, a little different. It is craving, which renews beingness and is accompanied by desire, by tanha, and enjoyment. A little bit different translation I'm giving you. Depends on the flavoring. Delight, the relishing, delight here and there. Different kinds of translations. This and that. In other words, craving for sensation desires, craving for being, craving for non-being. That's it. So that's what I want you to work on today. In a relaxed space of metta. In a relaxed space of a heart for compassion. Look and stand by the volcano, on the edge of the volcano, and be like a good volcanologist and go, eruption, eruption, eruption. This is Vipassana. Eruption, 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 and just relax into it. Don't go away from it. Don't approach it. Just be like a good volcanologist. Eruption, 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 eruption. Dukkha, 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 dukkha. And get used to it, like this. Not dull, not overly engaged, but a good scientist making recordings. Dukkha. Dukkha. This is what the conditioned mind is doing. Dukkha. It's not happy, it wants an object. It's happy, it wants better happiness. It's uncomfortable, it will shift. It's absolutely comfortable, but it wants to be more comfortable. It's amazing, isn't it? It drives people crazy. It drives people nuts. Do you want to know what's going on with your clients? That. Simply that. All the rest is complicated. That's what's driving them nuts. Just complicated. All the rest is complicated after that. Yeah.
Just the connection of dukkha and the 5 poisons. it's dukkha, and then where the five poisons are.
Manifestation. The dukkha is the bubbling magma chamber. The manifestation are the five poisons, the eruption. It just keeps erupting.
But same as, I mean, if I'm understanding, also the positive, like
Absolutely. Every variation of the eruption.
so what makes, so if I'm noticing, I'm just noticing what is rising, but there's something to, there's also some, there's a wanting to calm down, so the poisons and
This is a very good question.
and it changed them with, so this is like I first not change, but like if there's ignorance, there's wisdom. If there's this, there's metta, and then but still I noticed the dukkha.
Okay, let's try it again.
Yes.
That's okay. Let's try it again. And I could restate your question,
Please.
but let's try it all over again. Okay, really clear. It doesn't matter whether it's good dukkha.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's bad dukkha, right?
Dukkha.
It doesn't matter if it's now an outpouring of generosity. It doesn't matter now. This is different. This is wisdom. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's pure metta. It doesn't matter if the mind is super clear and you go, wow, it's never been so clear and direct. It still is due to dukkha. It's not freedom. Okay? So, the roots, the 5 unwholesome roots, 3 wholesome roots, still is something to do with the eruption of dukkha and how to take care of it. Okay? So, at one moment, because of a thirsty throat, reach for some water, right? Earlier this morning, didn't have a thirsty throat, and got to actually have a very rare, single roasted Colombian coffee, yes, by one of Jamie's students in roasting class. A little bit of coffee like that, wonderful treat. And that wasn't so much to do with a thirsty throat, that was to do with thirsty. Wow, that's curious. What could that be, you see? Which is very wholesome. Investigation. Same origin. I want you to find the same origin. Look for the same origin. Whether it is beatific, whether it's sad, whether it's grief, whether it's lust, whether it is clarity, super clear. No thought. Radiant. Composed. The feeling like there'd never be any more suffering ever again. That's it. They're eruptions. They're eruptions of tanha. Eruptions of tanha. Eruptions of tanha. Right? Are you following? It's the same thing. All has the same origin. So you have to track. You have to keep tracing back until you come to the origin. This is the contemplation, this is the meditation of the 4 noble truths. Keep tracking it back until you have a very definitive look into the magma chamber. And you won't be fooled again to go, aha, I got it. God, I feel good. Oh man, do I feel good today. This is amazing. Doesn't solve it.
May, just a follow-up question. In the process of doing that, in Vipassana, in the sitting, in the practice of it, do you also do a discernment? Do you still label, for example?
Now you're talking about techniques.
No, okay.
That's okay. Now you're talking about techniques. I'm talking about the ground principle for all the schools of Vipassana, all the schools and practices, no matter what they're called. You said sitting, could be standing, walking, lying down, every posture. Everything comes out of this. Every single technique and practice that the Buddha taught and all the different masters after that all comes out of this. Not a shred of difference. Yeah. All about this. Why this dukkha? Why this dukkha? And everything after this is a technique of why this dukkha. That's all. Whether it's this practice, that practice, whether it's contemplating sensation of the nose, contemplating sensation of the belly, it doesn't matter which kind of penetrative insight practice, all comes from this question. Why do beings suffer? Why do all sentient beings get confused? Why do they wander in confusion? And then there's simply techniques that are appropriate for different beings to unravel that mystery and look into the magma chamber and actually bring out the answer. That's it. That's it. So it's important not to get confused by technique, to understand what's behind all the meditative techniques. That's it. That's what this is. It's for one purpose. The Buddha taught this. The Buddha taught this for one purpose. Compassion. That's it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have opened his mouth. If he didn't have incredible compassion, he would have gone, that's it. I don't need to open my mouth. Because nobody's going to understand this. And what happened at the end of this discourse? We'll get there tonight or tomorrow. One of the five actually, he said that. One of the five got it. Kodanya got it. He actually heard it and got it and understood. He listened and understood. He had the experience of dukkha and cessation of dukkha right there on the spot. Something, eh? So I'm using this as an analogy. You have to want to be interested, like a good scientist, in the hot magma chamber, and don't keep running away. Don't suppress it. Just go and look. Go and look. Go and look. Will it be easy? It's not always easy. We have here someone who has done a PhD in research, in science. Would you say it was all fun and easy? No. It's not, is it? It's very difficult. And sometimes, for years, we come back and look at the same issue because we can't figure out what's wrong. We just did that. I made a mistake a number of years ago in calculating something. And Raphael has solved it. It's really nice. It's really great. That's a 2-year-old puzzle. Actually, over 2 years now. A 2-year-old puzzle, right? And it's now been solved. Now the research hasn't been solved, but a little puzzle. That's because it wasn't ignored. Yeah? Just isn't ignored. It's a niggle. I want to know what the niggle is. Not like, oh, I failed. Oh, we're not going to look at it. Oh, we'll go on to something cool and more interesting, right? Some really pretty images on the electron microscope or something. No. What is the molarity of a fully concentrated solution of Epsom salt? I need to know that number. You follow? That's called vipassana. Keep looking, keep looking, keep looking until it reveals itself so clearly. And how do you know in the language of Namja Rinpoche when it really lands? How do you know? When it really lands, when insight and realization really lands. It has qualities that manifest for real. You can do something with it. In the words of Namja Rinpoche, what are you going to do with it? Couldn't really care less unless you can show me what you're going to do with it. Otherwise, it's a nice experience. Nice experience. What are you going to do with it? If it's actually real, it will have manifestation. This is key. So this is momentous. In the history of the planet, this discovery to me is absolutely one of the great discoveries. It's momentous. Why? It has freed so many millions of people from dukkha by going to the magma chamber, looking down, and not running away into this. Necessary condition, calm, tranquility, but you'll just keep running away from diving, looking into the magma chamber, okay, of dukkha. So don't ignore the dukkha. In the dukkha, this is where I'm going to end, I hope. In the creative play of the mind, in the dukkha is nirvana. That's it. Simple. That's what he's teaching. If you look really closely at dukkha again and again and again, you're going to find what? Complete liberation and incredible compassion for beings. So that's plenty for today. Okay? Tonight we come back to this. Or we'll see what tonight will bring. Come join me tonight and we'll see what it brings. Okay. Michael, if you would lead us in profound dedication.
Can you repeat the affirmation?
Returning at 7:30 tonight for something.
Pacific time.
Pardon?
Pacific time.
Pacific time. And no matter what it is tonight, it will be for the relieving and the liberation from dukkha. Yeah, dukkha. Later.